Alrighty, just give me another minute here. Sorry about the delay. Alright, there we go. That should do it. Okay, so previously, welcome back to welcome back to Free Read Fridays. I'm your intrepid narrator, Fragath, and today we're doing reading some more Heavy Time by CJ Cherryh. I'm gonna have to cut this one short because I've got like a stomach flu or something, and it has made me considerably uncomfortable. So my energy levels, while never particularly high, are exceptionally low this day. So, wow, and of course it's a long chapter. Okay, well, we'll just do one. Yikes, that is a long chapter. That just goes on and on and on. Okay, well, actually, that's not too bad. Still, 30-something pages, I think. All right. So, previously on, Ben got out of the loony bin. No, not Ben. Dekker got out of the loony bin. Ben, of course, is absolutely thrilled. He is over the moon about this, that he's back. So, of course, Dekker, being the totally rational and not at all impulsive guy that he is, uh, proceeds to learn, oh yeah, his ship no longer exists as his ship, and it is now under the ownership of Bird and Ben. And so he goes and he finds where Bird is. He's at the black hole, and he decks him. Dekker decks him, the old man. And then Ben shows up and is really not thrilled. But Bird and both Meg and Sal are there, and they try to at least calm him down a little. And I guess they kind of did that. And yeah, they got him a room at the black hole, possibly with them. I had something else really intelligent to impart, but I completely forgot what it was. So here we are. Give me one sec. I'm going to get another quick sip of water, and we'll get cracking. Chapter 11. Dekker waked, eyes open on dark, G holding him steady. But it wasn't the hospital. It didn't smell like the hospital. It didn't sound like the hospital. It sounded like Helldeck before they'd left. His heart beat faster and faster, everything out of control. Nothing might be real. Nothing he remembered might be real. "Corey!" he yelled. "Corey!" and waited for her to answer, somewhere out of the dark. "Yeah? What's the matter?"
but there was no sound, except some stirring beyond the wall next to his bed. He lay still then, one hand on the covers across his chest. He could feel the fabric. He wasn't in a stim suit. He wasn't wearing anything except the sheets and a blanket. He lay there trying to pick up the pieces, and there were so many of them. R1, Sol, Mars, the wreck, the hospital, the hole. His whole life was in pieces, and he didn't know which one to pick up first. They had no order, no structure. He could be anywhere. Everything was still to happen, or had. He didn't know. Oh, hey, AE Optical Antenna. Thanks for tuning in. I'm glad you enjoyed Snow Crash. A door opened somewhere. Someone came down the hall. Then his opened, the ominous click of a key, and light showed two silhouettes before the overhead light flared and blinded him. Bird's voice said, "You all right, son?" "Yeah." His heart was still doing double time. He put his arm up to shade his eyes. Time rolled forward and back and forward again. He began to figure out for certain it was a sleepery, and he remembered being in a bar with Bird and Ben. It was Bird and the red-haired woman in the doorway, Bird in a towel, the woman, Meg, in a sheet. Ben showed up behind them in the doorway, likewise in a sheet, looking mad. Justifiably, he told himself, and said, "I'm sorry." "Clear-headed?" Bird asked. "Yeah, things are still going around." He recalled waking Whoops. He recalled walking up and down the hall behind the bar, up and down with Ben and Meg and a black woman, remembered eating part of a sandwich because Ben threatened to hit him if he didn't stay awake. But he didn't remember going to bed at all, or how he'd gotten out of his clothes. He had hit Bird in the mouth. Bruised knuckles reminded him of that. "Sorry, I'm all right. I just don't know where I was for a second."
"Doing a little better,"
Bird said. "Yeah." He hitched himself up on his elbows, still squinting against the overhead light. "I'm all right." He was embarrassed and scared. The doctors said he had lapses. He didn't know how large this one might have been, or how many days he had been here since he last remembered. "Thanks." Bird walked all the way in.
"You're sounding better."
"Feeling better. Honestly, I'm sorry about the fuss." Ben edged in behind Bird, scowling at him.
"Beer and pills'll do that, you know."
"Yeah," he said. He earnestly didn't want to fight with Ben. His head was starting to ache. "Thanks for the rescue."
"Good God," Ben said. "Sorry and thank you all in 1 hour. Must be off his head."
"I've got it coming," he said. "I know." He slipped back against the pillow, wanting time to remember where he was. "Leave the light on, would you?"
Ben said, "Hell, if it keeps him quiet."
They left him, except Bird. Bird walked closer, loomed between him and the single ceiling light, a faceless shape.
"You had a rough time," Bird said. "You got a few friends here if you play it straight with us. Watch those pills. Try to keep it quiet. Owner's a real nice guy. Didn't call the cops. Just took our word you're on the straight. All right?"
He recalled what he'd done. He knew he had maybe a chance with Bird, maybe even with Ben, if he could keep from fighting with him. "Tell Ben I wasn't thinking real clear. Didn't know what ship I was on."
"You got it straight now?"
"I hope I do." His head was throbbing. He wanted desperately for them to believe him. He didn't know whether he believed them, but no other way out offered itself. He put his arms over his eyes. "Thanks, Bird." Bird left. The light stayed on. He didn't move. In a while more he took his arm down to fix the room in his mind. It was mostly when he shut his eyes that he got confused. It was when he slept and woke again. He kept assuring himself he was out of the hospital, back with people who understood, the way the doctors didn't, what it was like out there. And the two Rabs, who might be shepherds, but who didn't talk like it. He wasn't sure what they were, or what they wanted, or why they zeroed in on him. They worried him the way Ben worried him. Not the dress, the mindset. The mindset that said, screw authority. No future. Get high. Get off. Get everything you can while you can, because the war's coming. The war to end all wars. Hell yes, Corey had said. It could end Earth. But it won't get the human race. That's why we're going. That's why we're heading out of here. People in boardrooms had started the war over things nobody understood. And the Rab had just said, screw that, and rattled hell's bars when and as they could until the company shot them down. He hadn't known that when he was a kid. He hadn't understood anything, except he was mad at what they said was happening to the human race. He'd hated school, hated the haves and the corporate brats. He'd understood corruption and pull, all right. He'd thought he was Rab and scrawled slogans on walls and busted a few lights with slingshots, gotten scuzzy drunk a few times, and light-fingered a few trinkets in shops before he'd figured out what the Rab was and wasn't, and why those people had died trying to get through those doors. He'd been 13 then. Nothing could touch him, and he'd be 13 forever. Till Corey. And Corey wouldn't at all have understood him sitting at the table with two women like that. Corey would talk to him later and say, the way she'd said more than once, "Stay away from that kind, Deck. God, I don't know where your mind is. We don't want any trouble. We don't want anything on our record." Meg. The older one's name was Meg. With the red hair and the Saul accent he'd never realized existed until he'd gotten out here and heard Corey's Martian burr and heard the Belter's peculiar lilt. There might be a heavy dose of Saul in Bird's speech, but none in Ben, and none in the black woman. All of them the last types you'd ever think to be hanging around with a plain guy like Bird. Or with each other. Not likely shepherd women, who might drink with minors, maybe, but far less likely sleep with them. When women were scarce as diamonds out here, and available, good-looking women could take their pick clear up to the company elite if they wanted, if they didn't have a police record. They didn't have to live on Helldeck, unless they wanted to. Maybe Bird didn't understand the Rab. Wreck everything, take what you wanted, rip the company. So much for ideals and causes. Same here as at Saul. Same in the movement as in the company boardrooms. No difference. He squeezed his eyes shut, felt tears leak out. Raw pain. He had no idea why. He thought, screw all of them, company and not. But he didn't mean it the stupid way the kid on Saul had meant it. 13 and stupid and tired of bumping up against company types, scared as hell about the rumors that said his generation wasn't going to have a chance to grow up. He'd gotten a knot in his stomach and lain awake half the night the first time he'd heard how the colonies didn't have to fire a shot, how the rebels could just drop a rock out of jump space, a near-sea missile aimed right at Earth or Sol Station. Nobody could see it coming in time. That for Earth. That for all the history they were supposed to memorize, all the rules, all the laws. Over in 5 minutes. So why learn anything that was going to be blown up? Why try for anything except grabbing as much as you could before it went bang? But nobody'd do a thing like that. Nobody'd really hit Earth. Nobody'd really hit a station and kill all those people. Of course they wouldn't. Corey would say, just get me far enough, fast enough. Corey had told him about places he'd never cared about until she made it sound like there was an honest chance of getting there, if you had the funds. If you could get the visa. If the cops didn't stop you at the last minute and say, wait a minute, Dekker, you have a record. The Earth Company said no more free rides, and you had to pay off your tax debt before you could get a visa. Then your own government, the only time you'd ever see anything from your government, wrote you down as belonging to the ship you'd bought a share on, and you could go. Where there'll be something left, Corey would say. Corey had an absolute conviction that out there was much better than where they were. on a ship that had no use for an in-system pilot. He didn't know whether that was living or not. Truth be known, he had never had any idea what he was going to do then. Keep balancing on one foot, he supposed, saying yes and meaning no, going with Corey because Corey was going somewhere. And he didn't trust the draft wouldn't take the miners, too, once those ships were built. Haul him off to live in a warship's gut and get killed for the company, blown to hell for the company. Step at a time, Tommy had used to tell him when he was too Z'd to walk. Step at a time, Mr. Dekker. Damn it, he wanted to fly, that was all. Just get that back. Get his hands back on the controls again. The last few moments he'd thought clear and cold, not at all afraid, that he could still pull it out. That he could still make that son of a bitch pay attention to his comm. Wake somebody up on that damned ship, rattle their collision alerts, if that was what it took. He looked at the ceiling tiles. He supposed they were real. He supposed he'd gotten this far away from the wreck. But no matter how far he stretched it, time just looped back and sank into that moment like light in a black hole. One single moment when things could have worked and didn't. Those sons of bitches on that driver had known he was there, had known they'd hit a ship. They must have. Even if it had never heard him. If somehow his comm wasn't getting through to them. If nothing else, when the tanks blew, they'd have known it wasn't a rock they'd hit. And if his comm wasn't reaching them, wouldn't they have listened to the E-band after they'd hit a ship? Wouldn't they have heard Corey's suit comm? Damned right they had. Meg leaned close to the mirror, painting a thin black line beneath her bottom lashes. Hell to keep the eyes from running right after makeup. She blotted with her finger, tried again. The next door over opened and shut. Ben and Bird were off to breakfast, everybody dressing where their wardrobe was. Sal, mirrored past her shoulder, was putting her boots on. "We got a day to do," Meg said, with a flourish at the corner of her eye. But we can take second shift. I vote we feel out the Novi Chilavek." Severe spook.
Decorative spook.
Eyebrow pencil. Auburn. Hard to come by out here. If you were broke, you used grease pencil, and that was expensive.
He came straight last night after the bogeys. Seemed to be coming in focus. Boyd talked to him.
After the things he shouldn't have said in the bar, Katie, a serious lack of governance there. Everybody was talking about it.
He was drunk, gone out. Everybody knows that.
So he's got no fail-safes? Shit, Katie, Ben's got severe misgivings on this.
Tss.
She did the other eye with 3 even strokes, heard Sal get up and caught her reflection with a rap of the knuckle at the mirror.
Remains to see. Late is time enough, Bird says.
Bird says, Bird says. What's Bird have in his head here? Find him a partner? Ben can't scope it. And Brooke put, I don't like this partner talk, and I sincerely don't like Bird close with this June fee, whose tab I don't know why we're paying, with our funds, while he's got a card and access, thank you.
So do I understand?
But she figured she did, more than Sal would. She looked at Sal, eye to mirrored eye, then turned and leaned against the counter, taking the mandatory 3 thoughts before a body should commit truth, as the saying went. But Sal was seriously upset this morning. Sal had had her eye on that ship, and Sal had been talking to Ben last night, in these rooms, that was point 1, and scary enough. If that was all of it, and there were enough angles with Sal on a thing like this, she wasn't at all sure.
We got to talk, Sal.
Sal stared at her a couple of beats, still hot, shrugged and picked up her jacket. Nah, rather breakfast, actually. Meg didn't move. Sal didn't like brute talks, especially when she'd just snapped to a judgment about a thing, but Sal constitutionally didn't like mysteries. She said, to Sal's back,
Sal, do you want to know Kelka shows?
She waited, knew Sal was going to turn around with an exasperated look and say, "What should I want to know?" As if there couldn't possibly be anything worth the nuisance. Sal came at some things with her mind as tight as her fists. She gave the room a significant glance around, then pushed buttons she knew were buttons with Sal. "Tell you later on second thought." Sal had this look like she'd knifed something, but that only meant Sal's mind was working again, and they'd been severely careful about bugs since the cops had torn the room apart. She snagged her jacket up. They walked out into the hall and through the door into the hole proper, where the guys had a table in the shift change rush. Ben and Bird already into their breakfast. You went over to the hot table at the end of the bar. You told the second shift cook, Price, that you were breakfast, and he dumped whatever it was into a plate while you drew your own coffee. They took their plates and their cups to Bird and Ben's table and sat down.
Morning,
Bird said.
morning.
Meg said back, and thought how that, too, was one of those things native belters didn't just naturally say. Spooky kind of partnership when you got to thinking about it. Spookier still, just as they sat down, that Dekker showed up in the doorway. He came part of the way to their table and made a cautious little gesture like, "Can I join you?" Bird waved his hand, swallowed his mouthful.
Grab your plate.
Dekker was clean-shaven, hair wet and combed back, quiet and polite. That was a plus. Good bones under a jumpsuit that didn't fit. A woman did notice things like that, if she was alive.
Could do with a feedin',
Bird said. Ben made a surly shrug. Meg tried to think of something cheerful, took a forkful of the hole's best stand-in for sausage and eggs, and a sip of not bad coffee, while they were all waiting for a lunatic to come and sit down with them.
Want to bet he'll ask the time?
Ben asked.
Don't you open your mouth,
Bird said sternly.
Did I say a thing?
Nice rear, Meg said.
Doesn't impress me,
Ben said.
Quiet.
Yeah, he'd do that for hours.
Ben?
All right, all right. He's doing just fine. Hasn't jumped price or anything.
Ben.
Dekker came back with his breakfast and his coffee, into a sudden quiet at their table.
How are you feeling?
Bird asked him as he sat down. Hungover, Dekker said, sipped the coffee with a grimace, and, from vials in various pockets, started laying out a row of pills. Not unusual for spacer types. Bone pills, mineral pills, vitamin pills. But Dekker's collection was truly impressive.
Dekker?
Ben said.
You having eggs with your pills or what?
Dekker gave this defensive little glance up, the cold sort that made the cold sort that made Meg's nerves twitch toward a knife she didn't carry now. Didn't quite meet anybody else's. Yeah, thanks, whoever put the crackers up by the bed. Lived on them last night. My stomach was upset.
They give you a doctor's number?
Bird asked. Dekker nodded, swept up a fistful of pills, chased them one after another with coffee, and didn't ever answer that. Bird shrugged. Dekker ate his eggs. They ate theirs. Finally, Dekker got up and went back to his room, saying something about needing his rest.
Yeah, well,
Ben said, staring after him.
Man's hungover,
Bird said. Ben didn't say a thing to that, except, Are we going into the docks?
Yeah,
Bird said.
Afraid they're not going to move if we don't push. And we can pull those panels right now. We can do that, but 4's too crowded up there.
They were close to viable now on way out. They'd gotten the tanks mated 3 days ago. They'd gotten the interior blown out and certified for access. They'd gotten everything well toward completed, if they could just get the refit crews to keep after it and get the value assemblies connected. Is that supposed to be valve assemblies? It says value. But when it was a case of getting skilled help on free time, it wasn't easy. It took inducements and constant look-ins to make tired crews on overtime look sharp and do it right.
We'll be back about supper time, Bird said, and if you two wouldn't mind to be staying here.
Hey! Sal held up a hand. Don't make us responsible for this guy.
Don't let him cross Price or Mike, all right?
No!
Appreciate that.
As Bird and Ben got up quickly and beat a retreat. Well, hell, Sal said. There's worse. I'd rather vac the cabin. Hey, don't judge too soon. That's good bone structure. Sal gave her a flat, disgusted stare. Meg said, You can go up if you want. I can hold it here. Or we can take a walk and I can tell you that what I won't say in the room. Oh, thanks, Richard Lowe. Just wanted to say thanks for Snow Crash. I need to catch up with the earlier heavy time readings before listening live. Great job. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're enjoying them. I'm glad the algos pointed you my way. They deigned or saw fit. Or if you just found me on your own, doing whatever you were doing, awesome. I don't care. I'm just glad people are enjoying it. Or not enjoying it. People tuning in is cool, although I'd prefer people enjoy it. All right. Oh, there we are.
Yeah,
Will said on the phone.
yeah, we did find him.
Salvatore caught a breath. Damn right you better have found him.
Yes, sir.
So where the hell is he?
Sleepery, sir. Just hadn't paid a bill yet. No problem.
There better not be. You listen to me. If you can't tag him any other way, you keep somebody on it. You don't let that guy slip. Understand?
Yes, sir. Report's coming to you right now.
Wills sounded upset. But he'd been on it when a routine print had showed no card use for a sleepery. Couldn't particularly fault Wills. Dekker wasn't the only case Wills had on his lap, a couple of them felonies, while Dekker was minimal while Dekker was minimal surveillance. But Human Services had dropped 5 whole C's onto that card for the sole purpose of making sure Dekker stayed traceable, and it was embarrassing to the department to have him slip in the first couple of hours, in a place where he had no friends, no contacts, no credit, and no way to get at it. Wills asked,
You want Browning to ask a few questions?
Salvatore scanned the report, how Dekker had spent $5 odd in a Helldeck bar, $5.50 on a beer and phone calls, and nothing else. Browning had talked to the Pacific, who'd referred Dekker down the road to the Black Hole, and sent his card there when the management at the Hole had called for it. Browning had had the sense to query Wills before any next step, and Wills had told Browning not to follow that lead too closely. Dekker was apparently still there. The Hole was a quiet place with no apparent reason to lie to the Pacific, but Dekker hadn't used the card at the Hole after he'd gotten it, which indicated Dekker must have some acquaintance there, or that he'd found some means of support, meaning hiring out for something, ditching the card for a while, not an uncommon dodge for a man evading the cops. Prostitution was the ordinary way for somebody with a reason to duck the system. Or, if not that, he had to have friends. Wills said,
Bird and Pollard are staying there. We checked them earlier.
Bird and Pollard. Salvatore searched his recent memory.
The ones that claimed his ship.
Wills said.
The ones that brought him in. Ship claim went through. The company paid. But Bird and Pollard saved his life. My guess is he looked them up. With what idea, I don't know, but evidently it wasn't war. He's staying there, evidently on one of their cards.
Not necessarily looking for trouble, then. Searching out the only 2 people he knew made perfect sense. Healthy sense, even. Salvatore sipped at a cooling cup of coffee, thought about it, and said, all right. The boy's got himself settled. Long as he's quiet, understand? Just get a list of the current residents, run backgrounds, that sort of thing.
Copy that,
Will said.
We can do it on a tax check.
Do it. They'd gotten the lawsuit dropped. The report had convinced the EC board a closer call than the kid knew about. But he'd signed the accident report. He was out of hospital, and if he just for God's sake got a job and settled, he was fine. Visconti said rehab might not be productive right now. There was a lot of hostility. So let him run through the human services money. Let him settle and think about surviving. There wasn't any negligence, there wasn't any charge to file, and Dekker didn't go to trial, however much Alice Salazar wanted his head. Salazar was threatening civil suit now to tie up the bank account and the insurance, but Creighton's office said don't worry about it. The daughter was over 18, the partnership was signed and legal with a survivor's clause, and the account was jointly acquired anyway. Dekker was safe. There was no legal way Salazar was going to get at him. That card could go in the pending settlement stack. Strolling along the frontage spinward of the hole, Sal had things of her own to say. And for openers, since Meg wasn't getting started, "I'll tell you this, Katie. We got to get him out of there. God, of all places for him to come." "Natural enough." "Natural! He said it. They friggin' took every lovin' thing he owned. What's he gonna do, forget it?" Meg walked a few steps further, kicked at a spot on the decking. "Dunno. Difficult to say. But what are we gonna do? Throw him out? That's brute sure he won't forgive." "Forgive? Hell!" Another silence. "You know, brute frank, Sal, there's a difference in Ben and Bird." "We're talking about Dekker. Well, why are we out here?" "We're talking about that. Calmati calma, hey?" "So say. Doesn't make sense so far."
"I tell you, I never had any use for the Motherwell. You less."
"Damn right."
"Watch it go, right? Screw it all that shiz. But I get out here, Sal, I don't know, thinking it over. I know why Bird paid for this guy's room."
"So? Why did he?"
"You know you don't say mornin'."
"Of course I say morning. And what's that to Flaherty? What's that to Flaherty, anyhow?"
"You say it because I say it. You didn't come saying it, or you didn't. Ah."
So, their modern English is hard. Give me a minute. Sentence structure is difficult. Making sure you're reading the proper punctuation is hard. Okay. Let's take this paragraph from the top because there's actually a lot of important context here. Um, Mostly context for understanding why people are different out in the belt.
I know why Bird paid for this guy a room."
So why did he?
"You know you don't say mornin'."
Of course I say morning. And what's that to Flaherty, anyhow?
"You say it because I say it. You didn't come saying it. Or evening. Brute different, Sal."
So?
"Different the way Bird's different from us. Never saw how the Motherwell matters till I figured that."
That's shit. Sal hated sloppiness. This was getting, or soppiness, sorry. Sal hated soppiness. This was getting soppy. It wasn't like Meg, and it was making her increasingly uncomfortable.
"Maybe shit," Meg said, "but I know why Bird paid."
Because the mother whale makes you crazy.
"Dekker's from the Motherwell. At least from Saul Station, which is close enough for mornings."
Accent tells you that.
"Yeah, but we think in accents. That's what I'm talking about, yours and mine. I could turn my back on the Motherwell. I could take what I want and leave the rest. Bird's not Rab, Bird's just Norm. But I know how his mind works. I dealt with there, remember?"
Are they all fools?
"Fools, put it. But not the only. You mind me saying, Sal."
So PEUT space ET apostrophe. So they put et. They in Belter lingo they have all kinds of loanwords used, and it's kind of a nice patois language. And you're probably you won't recognize it as distinct from, say, what James S. A. Corey has going on. in the Expanse novels, but that's kind of where he's getting it from. Um, got I don't know, is the series over now? I know he came out with a quote last book not that long ago, like back in November, but whatever. So it's reading their lingo is harder than it seems. And that's why I'm mangling sentences constantly, because I'm having to be like, wait a minute, context.
Fools, pooh dat. But not the only. You mind me saying, Sal, you're going to be a skosh bizzed at me over this.
Puzzles and puzzles. A body could be irritated at Motherwell attitudes, too. All right, so we got this deep, secret difference. It's worth 5. Go.
Head on, then. Man bitch is scamming her kids.
Is that new?
It is when you don't see it. You know, even the vids that get out here, they're pure shit, Abajib. They're company vids. They're slash vids, cop chases, fool funnies, salute the logo shit. Intensely company, intensely censored. You understand me? My bitch has been robbing you all along, little bits and pieces. Robbing me, too. Those sods brute like what's Rab. Rab's no trouble to them. Hell, Rab's where they're going. Forget Earth. Forget what's old garbage. Only out here the company's going to pick what's Rab. Capiche?
Neg? She looked at Meg with a slight suspicion Meg was talking down a long Motherwell nose at her, a long 30ish nose at that. But Meg hadn't made sense enough yet to make her mad. This going somewhere significant eventually?
It's the Institute all over again, understand? You didn't take you didn't take the shit there, but you don't say morning.
For God's sake, Katie, good morning then.
But Belters don't say it. Bird remarked it to me once. Belters don't, and Saul Station will. Belters don't give you a second cup of coffee without you pay for it. On Saul Station, you expect it. Belters don't give you re-chances. You screw up once, you're gone. Done. Rid off.
Evolution. Don't let fools breed.
Corp fad, Abajib. It wasn't always that way.
Down a damned long Motherwell nose.
You take a look at corporate executives the last couple of years, Abajib. Seen the clothes? Rab gone to suits.
So? Poor sod still got it wrong.
No, no, they got it right. I don't say on purpose. I'm not sincerely sure they have that many neurons compatible. But they like the Rab. In their little corporate brains, shit, yeah, dump the past. Let the company say what's fad, what's Rab, what's gone. They don't ever like some blue sky lawyer citing charter law at them, so that's gone. Don't teach anybody about the issues. All us techie types and pilots need is slash vids and funnies, right? Techies don't need to know shit else but their job. Hell, the Rab never said dump all the smarts. We said stop thinking Earth's it. Wake up and see what's really going on out there. But the stupid plastic said dump the past. We said access for the people, and the plastics say grab it while you can. Corp fad. Plastic is Abujib. Plastic sells. Plastic doesn't ask questions. Plastic's always dumber than the management. And hell no, management didn't plot with its brain how to take us over. They just wobble along looking for the easy way. And damned if we didn't give it to 'em.
Corp fad made an ugly kind of sense. The Institute was, without question, MomCorp's way of making the little corp rat pilots. She'd seen that happening. She wouldn't salute the logo, and they'd found a way to can her, right fast.
I'm 35, Meg said after a moment or two of walking. I'm an old Rab. 8, 9 years ago, they shot us down at the doors, and the politicrats in the company's bed said that good old EC was within their rights. It was self-defense. The Rab was breaking the law and endangering a strategic facility. Do you believe that? Corporate HQ is a strategic facility. Time the miners and the shepherds had the guts to tell the whole damn company to go to hell. Turn the whole operation independent. But where are they, Sal? Where are they? Free runners are mostly gone. Brute few coming out here now.
The company's training the new generation, paying their bills, and giving them the good sectors till they get it all in their pocket. The shepherds let the company handle their outfitting, and now they're fighting to hang on to the perks they have. The Rab got themselves shot to hell in the 15, and here we got these damn synthetics swaggering around with the company label all over. The plastics don't know what we were. They turn us into clothes, into corp fad. Damn young synths make the music without the words. The movement's probably dead back at Saul. Old, antique. And where do I go? Brute cold, she said, and put her hands in her pockets, walking step for step with Meg, Meg seeming to have finished her say. Crazy as it sounded, she wondered if the Institute had censored the things it didn't want them to know on purpose, and when she thought about it, rights damned sure had changed. Things like abolishing crew share systems, the way they'd used to be on shepherd ships. Like the bank refusing to honor cash chits, the way the shepherds had paid out bonuses, and kept money outside the bank card system. She thought about the courses she could have sailed through if she'd kissed ass. She thought about her mama and her papa's friends, Mitch among them, who'd said, "You're a fool, kid. Should have kept your head down till you graduated. We can't make an issue, you understand? A kid with a reckless endangerment on her record isn't it." So she was a fool, and the instructors washed her out, told her the same as they'd told Ben. Insufficient aptitude. She was learning from Meg. She'd learned more from Meg than she ever let on with the licensing board, and when the time came Meg couldn't teach her, then she'd go to Mitch, a hell of a lot better than Mitch ever thought she was. Flight school washout, attitude problem and all. But meanwhile, her mama's and her papa's friends were going grayer and thinner and more brittle, some dying of the lousy shields they'd had in those old days. The old officers and crew hanging on to their jobs because they were the skilled crews the company urgently needed. But the company was training new techs fast as they could, and the new head of Mom Bitch was talking about substituting institute hours for the experienced shepherd's years, requiring recertifications every 5 years after you were 40. The shepherds had naturally told Mom Bitch where they'd send the cargoes the hour they did that, and the company threatened to pass those recert rules if the shepherds ever did it. But the company didn't have enough pilots to plug in those slots right now that wouldn't dump more than cargo into the well, or fry themselves and their ships by pure accident. Yet. So, Big Mama had had to assign her shiny new tech crews to tend the drivers for now, because shepherd crews wouldn't fly with the corporat cut-rate talent straight out of accelerated training, and because the military was hot on Mama's neck about schedules. But time and the belt were taking their natural toll, and the day was coming, even a dumbass attitudinal washout could see it ahead, when there'd be just too few of the old guard left to make a ripple in the company's intentions. Someday, company was going to pass its new rules, and she was the right age to be caught in it. She didn't like Meg's line of thought at all, and she couldn't figure out how it had much to do with anything present, which was what Meg had promised her. "So," she said, "so what's this leading to? What's this to do with our problem?" "If you want to figure bird," Meg said, "you seriously need to understand blue skyers don't know what short supply is. They don't think by the numbers. Air's free, and they got nothing but heavy time, so they give it away. Air's free, and they got nothing but heavy time, so they give it away. They give it away even if they haven't got it, because that's their pride, you see? They have to say they can, even if they can't, because natural folk can, and anything less they won't admit to." "Way to starve," Sal said. "Way to end up on a company job. That's pure fool, Katie. And Bird isn't."
Air's free on Earth. Feet can go.
"If you don't mind dirt. And they got laws that say where you can go. I heard Bird say."
Yeah, well,
Meg walked a few more steps. Sal remembered then that, old business at Seoul Station notwithstanding, Meg was a whole lot closer to blue sky than she could ever be, and she worried that maybe she'd cut Meg off with that zap about dirt. But Meg went on as if she hadn't taken offense.
That's how it is for corporate execs, isn't it? As free wherever they are. Short for them is when they run out of their Chardonnay 87. Whoops. Is when short for them is when they run out of their Chardonnay 87. I know. Hell, I used to run that freight. I know what those sons of bitches are eating. Them with their Venetian antiques and their mink bedspreads.
Venetian?
Italiano. Ocean expensive. Fragile. Minks are fuzzy live crits. You wear their skins.
Sal looked at her. Sometimes Meg scammed you when she was in a mood. Hard to be sure.
No shit. I used to freight it. Pearls, fancy woods, stuff like that.
If you skimmed that stuff, you could black market it to starships, or you could sell it right back to guess where. Sal lifted a brow.
I guess the corporate got his apartment furnished, Meg said, or he got a cheaper source. Solcorp didn't want me going to trial. Hell no. They told me I could come here and fly for myself, or I could pilot some pusher back and forth off Mars for good old EC if I sincerely didn't want to go do mining.
It was half what Meg had said and half what she'd never said, that she had been dealing black market with some exec, and it was that guy who'd blindsided her. Things you found out after this many years. She liked Meg hell in a way better than she had those years ago, that was sure. Understood a good deal more of her thinking, but not all of it, never all of it. And she wasn't entirely sure she wanted to know where Meg had been or what Meg had been trained to do. Dive into a planetary well or bring a ship out of one. The thought gave a shepherd's daughter the chills.
So, well, Bird's got a little ahead at this guy's expense. He's short. Bird's not going to say no. Isn't going to make this guy ask either. Machismo. Something like. Fact is, I've been where this guy is, and it makes me a skosh mad, Sal. It sincerely does.
Well, I'd agree with you. I don't like to see the guy screwed. Hell, I put it on Mitch, and they're bizzed about it. But they're going to do a real fast hands off after what he did. I'll tell you the word I don't like, Katie. It's what I heard from Persky. The guy yelled about Bird and Ben knowing a driver was out there.
Yeah, well, he was drunk.
Doesn't matter if he was drunk, Katie. Damn it, I got very Whoops. Doesn't matter if he was drunk, Katie. Damn it, I got very scarce favor points with Mitch.
Screw Mitch.
Yeah, the hell with Mitch. Mitch'll give me a choice. Get out and away from Bird. That's what he'll tell me.
Would you do it?
It's all over the damn deck what he said.
They drugged him stupid, Abajib.
We got a live charge here, Katie. We cannot afford this. They can't.
All right, I'll tell you what Bird said to me. This is a confidence. Black hole it.
Go.
Driver sitting out there right where the accident happened. Dekker gave him the coordinates. Said he and his partner had found a big rock. Class B. That's where that thing is sitting, chewing it up and spitting it at the well, fast as it can. Few more months and it won't be there.
Why in hell didn't you tell me?
I am telling you. I found it out from Bird last night. That's what you can see on those charts you lifted. Shit!
But that doesn't make sense. Something rolls in from out there. Yeah, rocks like that happen, but we don't get 'em. Those things show up on optics.
So somebody slipped, assigned the kids to it. My bitch can't make a payout like that to a free runner. You want to know how many'd be kiting out here? Buying passage out here? If it was iron, the way Dekker claimed, that's a friggin' national debt.
She let her breath go between her teeth. God. You know my bitches help. Some low-level fool in BM screws up, puts this free runner out there, and then his super finds out. And does any free runner call in till he's got his sample? Not the way you and I do it. We're not having the bitch say no, don't pursue, and then have a hand on the good stuff to a whoops. And then have her hand the good stuff to her lap dogs? And give the kids credit for some savvy about the system. They wouldn't trust the bitch. They'd go on and sample it, get a solid assay on that thing. Dangerous as hell for a ship their size. Maybe it was the rock that got 'em. Maybe they were just rushed. Possible. I don't know. The jeune fille isn't thinking so. And a rock like that, untagged, where'd it come from? Thing had to have an orbit way the hell and gone. And iron? We don't know shit what it was. We do know one kid is dead and my bitch wiped the log. But those loads are gonna hit the well any day now. Drop that on Mitch. I can drop it for what it's worth, but with a mouth like that. Severely young, severely green, Abujib. We can put 'em in line. Katie, I'm telling you. Tell you something else. We have to pull 'em in line. They know where he was last night. What are you talking about? Mam bitch, Abujib. Mam bitch. He came there. He checked in. He knows Bird and Ben. Oh, God. Yeah. Oh, God. I've been through this. They've got a line on him. Not a short one, maybe, but that depends on what he gets into. And what are we going to tell Bird? Excuse us, Bird, but you sincerely got to pitch this guy out on account of my bitch is looking for trouble and on account of Sal slipped Ben's shots to the ship. Okay, let's try that passage again. Whew, because there's no additional quotation marks, so it's a little hard. And I'm a tad woozy, so I apologize. This entire chapter is going off the rails for me. Water good. Let's take it from the top. Yeah, oh God. I've been through this. They've got a line on him. Not a short one, maybe, but that depends on what he gets into. And what are we going to tell Bird? Oh, excuse us, Bird, but you sincerely got to pitch this guy out on account of Mom Bitch is looking for trouble and on account of Sal slipped Ben's charts to the shepherds. Damn it, why didn't you say something? How can I say what I didn't know? I didn't hear the word driver. I didn't see those charts. I didn't hear the word rock till last shift. Damn it. You want another thought to sleep with? We're going out of here in a couple weeks, and what's he gonna be doing or saying while we're out there? Can we stop him? God, what's Mitch gonna say about that? I don't know. We could shut him up for about 3 months, say. What are you saying? Take him with? They walked past a noisy bar doorway. Meg said, the other side, well, here's what I'm thinking. The jeune fille needs his license back. Say he passes the ops. He's got to have board time. Couple 100 hours. Gets him off the deck. Gets him shut up. Yeah, and where's Ben in this figuring? Ben'll kill that guy. Who said Bird and Ben? Oh, God, you're out of your head, Katie. Look, Bird's got this debt, and we can pay it for him. We make it like a favor. Then Bird's got karma for us. So does this guy, who's also from the mother well. Who's also bent, and we get tagged with him. Tell Mitch what we're doing. Tell him we're going to bend this guy around the right way. Do they want him now? I don't think so. We can solve Dekker's problem, solve Bird's problem, solve Mitch's problem. Our rep can't get too badly bent. That's where we're useful. We get this jeune fille's sober attention, and he's no problem. Meg rolled her eyes. Wait, did I read the wrong voice for that last one? One sec. The next line has me a little confoozled. I think it's okay, because it drops a name immediately after, and I think it's the wrong name. Okay, definitely Meg. Meg said, Meg, Sal, Meg, Sal, Meg, Sal, Meg. Yes. Sal rolled her eyes. It's definitely the wrong name. We're good. Bad editing is fun. It's a hard scene, and I apologize. Meg rolled her eyes. Hell of a situation wrapped around that ship that they were so close to. Decorative is one thing, she thought, but where's the payout? Meg's hands out this air is free and everybody works partners stuff like the preacher folk. But what's this guy really bring us? They walked along, looking at displays and specs windows, in the deep bass rhythm of music blasting from the speakers, bouncing off the girders overhead. She said to Meg, "I'll tell you one thing, that Sheilavek better not have been skimming. We got rep enough. And he damn sure better not come into the hole on drugs again. He really better not be that kind." "Couldn't say that this morning," Meg said. "Couldn't say he was on the beam, either. I hate those quiet types. No joke, Meg, if we get out there and he does go skits, what in hell are we going to do? We don't know we can get him straight. That guy could get severely strange out there. Then what do we do?" "Keep him tied to the pipes the way the guys did? I could go for that." She caught a breath. "Warped, Katie." "Well, hey, he isn't useless, is he?" Hell.
"Gives Mitch 3 whole months. Do you want this June fee loose on the deck the way he is, talking about Bird and Ben and driverships?"
Point.
"So we just got to figure how to sign him in with Mam Bitch."
What the hell do we call him? Ballast? Lascivious grin.
"Systems redundancy."
Rude, Katie.
"Yeah."
Meg grinned with a sideways glance. Don't con me. We got more than a small problem here. Say we get this guy straight. We still got him in the middle of things. We got Ben, who's seriously put out here. Ben's not going to go easy on this. He's not going to go shares with this guy.
Ben better not push Bird on this. Don't expect him to figure it. He shouldn't push. Everybody needs some room sometime.
Serious room here. Major with Ben, too.
He doesn't have to work with Ben.
Who's going to work with him? We got guys starving on the list, and any numbers man needing a pilot wants one who doesn't see ETs, for God's sake. The Jeune Fille made himself a rep yesterday that he's going to live down a long time before they forget that.
There's always Yogi Carpagius.
God, Yogi was a great numbers man, but he didn't bathe. We'd have to steam and vac all over.
Yeah, but there is Yogi. There's others. Leave Ben on Prime with Trinidad. Us on Prime with Way Out. If Mom Bitch lets Dekker recertify, then Quiet is exactly what she wants. And Dekker, with his license back, is a whole lot more credible, isn't he?
Yeah, and how do we keep a line on him? He's poison right now, but we don't know him. We don't know what way he's gonna turn.
Dekker's from Saul. He's a lot more like Bird. You got to take into account he'll do things for Bird type reasons. He's struck by his partner, hasn't he? He'll owe us. Major karma.
The idea got through to her then, what Meg was saying. Karma, hell. If Bird gives that sumbitch board time, he can charge for it. Take it out of his hide, he can. Either Dekker's got finance to pay that time, or Bird's for sure got a pilot on a string. That old son of a bitch.
I don't think that's why Bird's doing this.
Sal gave Meg a look, thinking that through the loop a couple of times, wondering if she was following Meg through everything she'd been saying. Let's try that sentence again in a way that actually reads intelligently. One sec. This chapter is brutal. This is like as hard as reading The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. I'm so sorry. It doesn't help that I'm not in my best state. It's making everything harder. I'm going to do the Sal sentence first. Again. One sec. I'm also like hating my voice choices here. They're really hard to keep straight. The idea got through to her then, what Meg was saying. Karma, hell. If Bird gives that sumbitch board time, he can charge for it. Take it out of his hide, he can. Either Dekker's got finance to pay that time, or Bird's for sure got a pilot on a string. That old son of a bitch. I don't think that's why Bird's doing this. Sal gave Meg a look, thinking that through the loop a couple of times, wondering if she was following Meg through everything she'd been saying. Yeah, but are we that crazy? Bird owns Way Out, but we own our time. We log that guy's board time, and we own him till he can pay his charges with us. That's the law. That's the only damn useful thing the Institute ever taught me. We debt that guy to us for time. We get him recertified, and the company won't friggin' get him. How's that for charitable? She came to dead stop on the decking, hands in pockets, with a whole new idea taking shape. Mitch and Way Out, and a deal higher. Whoops. Hmm. She came to a dead stop on the decking, hands in pockets, with a whole new idea taking shape. Mitch and Way Out, and a deal higher value cards to deal with. A deal higher value cards to deal with. Maybe that's why Mom Bitch left the preacher stuff out of pilot training, you think? Bad business working null, floating around for hours on end, compromising everything your heavy time was supposed to mend, but hell, the meds who made the health and safety regulations hadn't priced help these days. Zero unemployment, the company claimed, or near enough as didn't count. You could hire some real zeros to come up and scrub all right, but they'd play off on you and steal what wasn't bolted on. And to Bird's way of thinking, and Ben's as well, it was better to take the extra dock time, do the steam and vac themselves, and see what damaged systems they could fudge past the inspectors that really could be repaired instead of replaced. Turn it over to a refitter like Towney Brothers, and you'd have one hell of a bill. Not least because Towney was in the pocket of a half dozen suppliers. Amen. So, they didn't replace the shower. They just unbolted the panels and took them to the rent-a-shop on 3 deck where they could sand down the edges. No way you could tell it from new once you screwed it back together. They took things apart and ported it down to 3, cleaned it and reassembled it, right down to the electronics. And you steamed and you vacked, and steamed and vacked, and took apart and put together. Likely Ben was learning more about a ship's works than he'd ever opted for. That's where Ben was right now, porting a big load of work down to 3 for the gals to handle or for them to do when they got down there after lunch. Maybe they could put Dekker on time and board, if he could keep straight and if he was physically able. A minor pilot worth anything at all had to be a fair mechanic. Meanwhile, Bard? Meg said out of the ambient noise of the core. He missed his purchase on a bolt and caught his finger with the power driver. He said something he didn't ordinarily say, and sucked the wounded finger, looking around at the open hatch, which they had half shut and plastic sheeted to keep the warm air and the warm air in and the dock noise out. Sorry. Meg drifted in, held the plastic aside, pretty sight in that lacy blue sweater. She turned herself so they were looking at each other right side up. I'm sorry, Bird. You want some help with that? Doing fine, he said. He turned around again, seated the driver, and put the screw home on the board he was reinstalling. He took the next off the tacky strip. Aren't you cold, woman? And who's watching Dekker? Sal and I got this idea, Meg said. Which said it was something. Bleh. Which said it was something halfway serious. He wasn't sure he was going to like this. He reached over and snapped the tacky strip out of the air before air currents that blew and drew from the plastic Meg was holding sent it somewhere inconvenient. We got this idea, Meg began again.
A kind of partnership deal.
He heard it out. He didn't say a word while Meg was telling it. He slept with this woman, and he figured he was going to hear it all night if he didn't hear it now. It moderately upset his stomach. Meg said,
Can't help but make money, Bird.
"Yeah, saying this guy is fit to go out this soon. Say, whoops. Yeah, saying this guy is fit to go out this soon. Say he can get his license back. Puts you and Sal off in a ship with him for 3 months. Bad enough with Ben and me. You gals, all alone out there." Meg blinked and said in a considerate way,
Yeah, but we won't take advantage of him.
"Be serious, Meg.
We're major serious.
You're letting out the heat, Meg."
Listen to me. We can make this contract with him. Sal says it's perfectly legal. We charge him for his board time for training. He'll pay us in cash or he'll pay us in time.
Indenture.
Huh?
It's called indenture. I read about it. When we friggin' had paper, before they made the toilet tissue fall apart. You're talking about indenture. We got the guy's ship. Ben wanted to put a lien on his bank account. Now you want him? That stinks, Meg." Meg got quiet then. Offended, he was sure. He picked off another screw and drove it into the hole.
So what are the chances he got? Meg asked. Bird, who but us gives a damn what happens to this guy?
He drove it in and looked around at Meg, suspicious now. It was worth suspicion when Meg Cady started talking about her fellow man. "What's this us?"
Earthers.
It was at least the third time he'd heard Meg change her planet of origin. He was polite and didn't say that. Meg said,
Dekker's out of the mother well too, isn't he? Same as us.
"Saw the way he talks."
So you figure it, Bird. A greenie like him paired up with another kid, she must have been. They never ever got it scoped out what the rules were. Worst kind of parent he could make. Nobody to show him the way. The guy didn't set out to screw up. He just didn't have any advice.
There'd be soft music next. What there was, on the heater going on and money bleeding out onto the cold dock. Wow, okay. Let's try that sentence again. This is happening a lot, and I'm really sorry. There'd be soft music next. What there was the heater going, and money bleeding out onto the cold dock. "You want to close that plastic, woman?" Meg ducked back and closed it. It gave him time to think there had to be something major in it for Meg and Sal. It didn't give him time to figure what it was. "All right," he said. "We've heard the hard sell. Now what's the deal?" Meg hesitated, rolled her eyes in a pass around that meant, "We'd better not talk here," and said,
Bird, what you doing for lunch?
And that is the end of chapter 11, and where I'm going to have to call it for this week. I am sorry about my general shaky reading today. Hopefully that will not continue. Thanks to all the people who tuned in and are checking it out. That's awesome. I do this every week. I do nominally take requests, although the few requests I've gotten, I either have done on some other time or otherwise haven't been able to do for a number of reasons. The more popular the book, the harder it's going to be. But I will happily do it. Snow Crash was kind of the exception. As is Blindsight. Blindsight's an exception because it's got Creative Commons cover. This that I'm reading doesn't, but I don't expect CJ Cherryh is going to call me up and be like, "What are you doing? You need to stop." I hope she doesn't. If she does, I will take it down. Like that's not a question. I don't make money off these. I don't do this for anything but my own enjoyment, and ideally the enjoyment of others. But yeah, I do this every week starting at about noon Eastern Standard Time. I do other streams throughout the week, but they're not my favorites. This is my favorite. Um, I do a Mecha Monday stream where I do something giant robot related or mecha adjacent because giant robots are freaking cool. And I have a Warframe Wednesday stream where I do Warframe for a couple hours because it's popular, I guess, and I've been with it forever. So, other than that, I hope to be much more with it the next time I stream, and we'll see. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Have a good one. Stay safe, stay sane, stay toasty, and don't let Big Mama get you down. The man is going to try and rig the system in its favor. And I'm not saying go line up to get shot in a mob, but, like, make yourselves heard. Try not to use violence. That tends to have the opposite effect. People tend to crack down after you do that. Peaceful protest tends to work better. Catching them at shenanigans works great, because then they at least have to acknowledge there's a problem. So, if you're in a position to do something like that, whistle blow. Go for it. Alrighty, I gotta run. Thanks again. See you later. Bye. And again, they're all archived on YouTube. I do have to actually get the last 2 or 3 of these categorized properly. They're still there, but they're not in their proper playlist. I'll get it taken care of. The first several should be, though. Alrighty, thanks again. Bye. Have a good one. And I gotta run.